everyone. So, I have a guest with me today. You may have noticed from the Facebook post. We have a returning guest. Her name is Carlye, and she's a good friend of mine from high school, but she's now studying epidemiology over at UF. So, I'm going to give her the stage, and we have a PowerPoint up here on the middle of the screen, so you should be able to see that. So, is there anything you want to say before we start, Carlye?
Oh, I'm gonna correct you. I'm actually not studying epidemiology, fun fact.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually my concentration in the Master of Public Health program is social and behavioral sciences.
Okay.
Um, but moving on. Hi everyone. Um, I'm going to talk to you about the Charlie Sheen effect, which you're probably like, what is that? Oh wait, we're on Jono Explains Things, so I'm gonna explain it to you.
Clever use of the
Okay.
title.
Oh, thank you. And I also put public health fun facts because this is gonna be fun. You can switch to the next slide. So Charlie Sheen, who is he? We know he's an actor. He's been an actor for a long time. Most, I guess, notorious for Two and a Half Men. Everyone loved that show. I think actually, um, he is known as the most highly paid actor on primetime network television
I'd believe
for
that.
that. Sure. I think for that show. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's a fun fact. Anyway, so he had addiction issues. Obviously led him to get in trouble with the law and say some very interesting things on TV interviews. And he is also very opposed to vaccinations, which, from a public health standpoint, is quite problematic. But this all together makes him a very polarizing figure, which is why what I say next might shock you. So, next slide. So on November 17th, 2015, he publicly disclosed his HIV status on NBC's Today Show. Um, and this was a big deal. Apparently, been um, diagnosed, or he knew that he had HIV 4 years earlier. And he admits that he paid approximately, I think he said, 10 from exploiting this information.
I think we lost you for a second. What was the last
The,
sentence you said?
oh, that he paid people approximately $10 million to stay quiet about this
Okay. Yeah.
for like 4 years, I think. So fun facts. The San Diego State University did research on the impact of his disclosure, specifically on HIV. And next slide. Um, they found an increase in internet searches about HIV and HIV tests, and then a follow-up survey or study, and found that they had record levels of sales increase of at-home testing kits called OraQuick. And the interesting about that is, so like OraQuick is an HIV test that you can do at home. So in terms of like being someone that's afraid that you have HIV, that would be great because you're like scared maybe to go and seek help.
Mhm.
So you could do it at home. I think I looked it up. If you get it from the website, it's like $39. But that's not counting shipping, which is currently like $10. So it's kind of pricey, but I guess if you don't want to look into local resources that you can utilize in your community to go get HIV testing, it's great. Um, and also, the other interesting thing about this is he didn't do a call to action when he said he had HIV. He wasn't like, hey, you should look into HIV and get yourself tested. He didn't say anything like that. And it still prompted millions of online search queries of HIV prevention and testing. And like I said, record level of sales increase for that at home testing kit. So it was 8 times more than the sales around World AIDS Day, which is like the biggest event for HIV prevention. So
Mhm.
it's really interesting. So next slide is the actual OraQuick. I just wanted to explain. It's basically like a mouth swab. Um, the diagram's probably really tiny, but it just shows that it shows that it comes with like step-by-step instructions so you can understand if your test was accurate or not. There's a lot of other options for HIV testing, such as the mouth swab, called OraSure. Um, that is what I do as an HIV testing counselor. And you send it to the lab, and it takes about like approximately 2 weeks, and then it comes back. So I guess you could argue it's a little bit more accurate because it's obviously through a lab instead of just like a quick 20-minute test. Like the OraQuick takes 20 minutes and you do it at home. The OraSwab is a little bit more cautious for even shorter window. There's tests that take blood samples, and all of these determine if your body made antibodies for HIV. So yeah, going to the next slide, which is the public health relevance. So the researchers were able to predict sales within 7% for any week based on the internet searches, which is like really cool when you think about it, because we have all this data, from the internet now, and like big data from the internet searches and such. And I feel like we're all very hesitant on using it, but we really should start like using it to our best ability, because like we can make future public health decisions based on this, like we just saw how one person just disclosing that they had HIV in 2015, how much that skyrocketed like people's interest and curiosity with HIV. And I mean, that's the whole point of public health, is making prevention happen, making education happen. And it was just awesome that that's what happened. And it's cool that it has its own name, the Charlie Sheen effect, when like, you think of Charlie Sheen. I mean, like I said, he's a polarizing figure. So it's really interesting that that's kind of become the face of a new way of thinking of things. And also another big thing, it proved a lot of theories in the fact that, oh, am I still here?
Yeah.
Oh, I made noises I heard. Anyway, empathy is, like I said, a key motivator if targeted toward an individual rather than a group. So for World AIDS Day and a lot of other events, I feel like they talk about people in general, people that live with HIV. And it's harder to connect with people in a group than it is for an individual, specifically telling their narrative. And that's something we learned through this disclosure. So that's really it. I just find it really interesting. And yeah, if you have any questions.
So no, I think that's definitely interesting to see that, especially with the idea that someone having such influence can have that effect on a population in the world that we live in today, just because we're so connected, and especially with all of the different media outlets, whether it be social media and ways of sharing things. It definitely, it's crazy to look back at what might have happened had that happened maybe even 5 years before, or maybe because you said he held out on talking about it for about 4 years. So if you think about like 4 years before, when social media wasn't as
big,
heavily intertwined in our society, whether that would have had as significant of an effect.
Yeah, and I think one of the most interesting thing is we know celebrity endorsements work. We know when like a celebrity says any sort of ad, people are more, likely to listen. But he didn't even have a call to action. He wasn't saying, go get tested, look into it, nothing like that. He just simply stated it. So that was an interesting aspect of it, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. If you have any questions, you can leave, and you're not watching this live, you can leave those in the comments, and I'm sure I'll be in contact with Carlye in order to get those answered. But from here, we're just going to move on to our second section, which is a familiar section on the Jono Explains Things stream. I have the paint window up, but I need to get this switched over to the Excel sheet. So hopefully this will work how I'm hoping, and it has. So now, Carlye, you won't be able to see much, but I did give you a little bit of a rundown. I don't know if you have the stream up on your end, but I
No,
can
but I
do
can try
my
to get it up right
No,
now.
it's fine. I can do my best to explain the visuals in words.
Okay,
Uh, I am Jono explains things. Um,
that's what we are here for.
so I'm gonna add your name to the list, and basically for those that may be watching without a background on what goes on this channel, um, this is a YouTube poll run stock market. So what's going to happen is Carly will have a certain amount of what we usually call Jonos, but just currency in this game, um, to work with, and because of even Steven's current value, she will have 93,400 Jonos to begin with. So there are 5 different stock to choose from: red, yellow, green, blue, and 12. And at the beginning of the stock market competition, all of these stock had 100 as their starting value. Since then, there has been YouTube polls on the stock market update videos, which allow the values themselves to fluctuate based off of those percentages of the vote. So red has now dropped down to a value of 34. Yellow has skyrocketed to a value of 148. Green has dropped a little bit to 78. Blue has stayed relatively close to its starting value at 95. And 12 is a fitting 112 as its value. So those are the stocks you can choose from. I'll give you a quick rundown on how the different stock have been doing. Red has been on a relatively constant decline with a slight spike from last week. This was somewhat due to the fact that the market in general went up. So blue took an initial turn downwards but is now on an upwards trend. Green had about the opposite, where it jumped up to about 120 and is now down to 78. And yellow took an initial tank downwards with the market, but since then has been on a constant upwards climb. 12 has stayed above 100 pretty much the whole time, but is been kind of back and forth. So that is how the general stock have been doing. I also have the contestant page just to show how other people have been doing, but in general, most people have been following the market other than some slight deviation from the middle curve. So for now, I will hand it over to you as to how you want to split up your investments, and I will mention as people will be able to see with Megan's investments, you don't have to spend all of your money if you don't want to. You can save some for later and reinvest if you wanted to at some point in time.
Oh.
But it is completely up to you. So,
Okay.
what would you like to do?
Well, I know it's bad to put it all into one, so I'm definitely not going to do that, even though I was really excited about 12.
I will say, the one
What?
person who is completely invested in one thing, and that one thing is 12, is in second right now.
Okay, so
But
that's what I was thinking of
but
doing,
they
but
went in earlier, so they have more
yeah.
stock than you would be able to get.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I want a good amount of 12 and a little bit of blue. And then can I save some?
Yeah, you can save some. So,
Okay, I'm just gonna by those definitions, I'm gonna let you decide.
okay, so if you're trying to save some, are you trying to save like a fourth of your money, or are you trying to save like 10%?
A fourth.
A
A fourth.
fourth? Okay, so that means if you have 93,400 times 0.25, you're saving 23,350 in your bank.
Sounds great. When I come back on, I will
Yeah.
go ham.
So that leaves you with 70,050 to spend on. You said you wanted to get a decent amount of 12 and then a little bit of blue.
Yes.
Okay, so of your remaining, would that be like an 80-20, or is that like...
Sure, that sounds right.
Okay, so you're spending 80% of this 70,050 on 12, which had a value of 112. So we'll divide your total value by 112. That means that you can get 625 without rounding up of 12. And then
Awesome.
You want to spend the rest of that on blue.
Yes.
So, oh, sorry. I just divided the entire thing by 112. So that wasn't 80%. Hold on.
Math
All
is
right,
hard.
divide that by 12. All right, you can get 500 of 12 without rounding up. And then with that, so 500 times 112, 70,050 minus that value, you have 14,050 left over, and you said you wanted to spend that on blue, which has a value of 95. So you'll divide that by 95, which gives you 147 blue. And you should have a little bit extra change to bring you back up to 400. You do have enough to get a couple red if you want to with that
Why are you
change,
trying to sell me red?
but you don't. I'm just saying, if you want to put that in your
Why do
bank,
you want
you
to sell
can.
me red?
It's really cheap right now. It's selling like really bad hotcakes.
Okay, use my change on red.
So that's gonna be, you have I believe 85 left over, and red has a value of 34, so you can get 2 red. And
Woo!
then if you have 34 times 2 and then 85 minus 68, that leaves you with 17 left to just put in your bank on top of your fourth of your beginning value. So that's 67. All right, so that is your value. Now, we have this contestants trends page with a graph. What I let people do is, I'm going to set this up later, but you can pick a color that you want the line on the graph for you to be. So what do you want your color to be?
Is pink taken?
No, it is not. We have a lot of dark colors, so that will definitely stand out.
Mine's pink.
All right, so we're gonna go grab the pink. I have to dip into the more colors selection. Do you want like a hot pink or like a light pink? Like
a light, pretty like pastel.
Okay, I think
Don't
I
mess
got
this
it.
up.
Yeah. All right. So you are now the pink line, and I will get that set up before the next stock market update. But for now, we are going to switch to our final section, which I'm definitely excited for. And I know Carlye was actually the first guest I ever had on my stream. And so she was kind of at the victim of beta testing the out of your element section. So
Which
I will
sucked,
say
FYI.
that it didn't necessarily go too well, just because somewhat of the way I was expecting that section to work out wasn't how it should have been from the beginning. I originally would just picked something that I didn't think people would know about, and it worked. But that wasn't really a good thing for entertainment value, because then a lot of people just don't know how to answer the question. So since then, we've switched it to something that is more something that I feel like people can handle, but but then at the same time, it's got to have a little bit of curveball. So with your field of study being in public health, you are usually planning things ahead of time and like looking at the broad picture in order to try and predict things so that you can make sure that we don't have these big epidemics and breakouts and whatnot, correct?
Yes, yes.
So you wouldn't necessarily be prepared for quick time events if that were the case.
Oh yeah.
So if you were so like let's just start a drawing here. So if we just have Carly here on the screen, I know you won't be able to see this in real time, but so Carly's sitting here, and oh no, what is this? It's a zombie.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
so there's a horde of zombies. I luckily have a bunch of randomly water-y colors to choose from, so I can go and grab the selector tool on Paint and copy and paste this puppy a couple times so it's actually a horde of zombies. Oh, we need that transparent selection. There we go. So you are now being approached by a large horde of zombies, and you have a couple options. So
Okay.
you can choose to run towards the schoolhouse that we have over here, and there's also a small shopping center. I don't know why
Mhm.
that's also
What
red.
kind of shopping center is this?
You know, you don't really have enough time to analyze that.
Oh, thank
There's
you.
also a park over here
Uh-huh.
that you can run to. So you have 30 seconds. Where do you want to go?
I'm gonna pick the shopping center.
All right, so you're gonna run to the shopping center. So you're gonna grab the new screen, redraw you here. So you're going down the aisles here, and you're looking at some of the different things that are in the shopping center. Now, obviously, in the event of a zombie apocalypse, we'd probably throw all laws out the window. So we'll assume that you can pretty much take whatever you want. But
Well, I'm looting.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's a riot, right? Like so. If we have the zombies starting to come in the door, then for some reason your head has grown about twice fold. But we'll ignore that.
You
Um,
sure I'm not infected?
maybe you're infected with something else. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
So now you have a couple options on the shelf. You now all of these are going to be somewhat bulky things, so you won't necessarily be able to carry multiple of them. You'll only be able to grab one. So if you want to, there is a shovel. There is a watermelon. Um, and there is a small carton of milk.
Okay. I want the
So
shovel.
you want the shovel. Okay, so you're gonna grab the shovel. We're gonna keep this rolling. Uh, and so now you are walking down one of the aisles, but in the event of the rioting, the aisle has somewhat collapsed down at the end, and now you are trapped.
Oh.
So you are standing there with your shovel in hand. Um, it kind of looks like a weird, large lollipop. And
Okay.
the zombies are now approaching you down this dead end. There is a couple things on the aisle. There is some boxes of cereal,
Mhm.
and there is just keeping in the same vein. There'd probably be some syrup if you're on the cereal aisle, like probably the
Okay.
pancake mix. Um, and there's also a banana, just one. I guess that was really popular in the looting. But you now are being approached by the zombies, and you have to make your decision on what you want to do.
Wait, so like what I want to grab out of those three items?
I don't know, Carly. You got to figure something out, and you're running out of time. The zombies are getting
Okay,
closer.
I'm whacking them with the shovel. What do you want?
So you're gonna go grab your. Well, I guess you already had the shovel,
Yeah,
and
I
you're
have
gonna
it.
go whack the zombies. So I don't know. Let's get some random statistics in here. Um,
Oh.
Zero, and then I don't know. You are able to kill one and a half of the three zombies. Congratulations.
Gosh.
So now the
Okay.
the other zombie and
That's
the
not that
half
bad.
of the zombie are still walking towards you, but you have dulled your shovel, and it is now
What?
somehow
How does the shovel
bad at.
dull?
I, you know, I. You'd say that
How about
until
you
you
say
try
that the
and dig with a dull shovel, and then it doesn't really work.
yeah, but it's still a whacking stick at least.
Okay, so you have the broken handle, I guess.
Okay, sure, it's a whacking stick now.
Uh-huh. So you still have the things on the shelf. Now you notice that there's also a box of Pop Tarts. I don't know if that really changes anything for you, but um,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if
I'm gonna
the
grab
cereal
the
aisle is the
banana.
best. You're gonna
I'm
grab the
grabbing the
banana.
banana, and I'm going to eat it, like throw it in my mouth because I need the potassium to go and for energy, and then I'm gonna throw it behind me and do one of the classic cartoon trip scenes
Okay, so you're
as
gonna
I run away.
eat the banana and then. So this is step one. That's step two. Banana peel on the ground, Mario Kart style. Uh, and that, let's see if I actually did that. For once, I've actually completely colored in or outlined everything. You managed to trip the half of the zombie in front of the other zombie, and they both fall to the ground in a range of your whacking stick to where you can beat them into submission. So I'd say you were relatively successful. I think this was a great excursion. And now
Yeah.
you're on the cereal aisle if you're bored. I don't know. Um, so, is there anything you want to finish off in terms of final thoughts before we sign off here, Carly?
Oh, I'm taking a disaster preparedness class right now,
Mm-hmm.
so that was pretty funny actually. Read I haven't read any cases of like future like potential like problems. I've just read past like cases and what people have done.
Yeah.
Um, but that was funny. I was trying to think as logically as I could, obviously, with this nonsense that you were throwing at me, but it's like why would I need milk? I don't understand why I would need that. I didn't understand the watermelon. What am I gonna do with that? Like,
You
I
know,
could
I
have
leave
thrown
I
it,
leave a
I
lot
guess.
up into creativity.
I really thought you were gonna be like, it's a store, but there's makeup on one aisle, and then there's this that could actually save your life. Which one are you gonna pick, Carly? And I would have been really stressed out, I think. So,
I don't know. I've been doing this segment on this channel called Tax, and it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons,
hmm
but that was I was kind of relying on that skill building that I've been doing for that, but
so,
no. So
um,
yeah,
are we about to close? Because I have to get one more thing before we close this.
okay,
I
go
have to
for it.
like move for a second. I'll be right back. Entertain people.
All right. And I believe Huevos has joined the party.
Oh, he was dancing to your music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is
Okay.
there anything
I
you
just
want to say, Huevos?
rough. I just really wanted to bring him because I love him a
Oh
lot.
yeah, I know for a fact that I have one viewer that will probably enjoy that addition, assuming that he makes it to the end of the video.
Yeah,
But
well, there is a dog,
yeah,
so watch till the end. You should make this the thumbnail so people are
yeah,
like, "Oh
yeah.
my God, it's the dog the entire time," and then they have to keep watching until the dog comes out.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, all right, so I guess that's going to be the end of the stream here. Thank you for coming on. I will mention just for the people watching at home, if you want to check out my game that I've been working on, I have a link to that down in the description. But for now, I'm going to be signing off. I'm not sure if I can get anything organized for tomorrow in terms of the tax stream, just because I know James is down in Key Largo or something, so he's probably out of commission for this Sunday, but he is on deck for playing next time. So I will keep you guys posted on that. We'll probably have another cover on Tuesday. But until then, I'm going to be signing off. So thank you once again, Carlye, for joining us. It's always an honor to have you on the stream. And I will be saying goodbye.